All right. Can you hear me now? There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. I was scrambling because we have breaking Jets news, folks. Breaking Jets news just came out. Steve Wilks officially fired, officially gone. The New York Jets let go of their defensive coordinator after them getting destroyed by the Jacksonville Jaguars. The defense has been a big issue. A lot of Jets fans wanted this to happen. We all thought, will this happen after the season? No, it's happening right now, folks. The news is official, and Aaron Glenn is the one who broke the news himself, which you love, by the way. He's like, yeah, before any of you reporters get it, I'm going to let you know the truth. So let's hear from Aaron Glenn himself, because he is the one who broke this news. So let's hear from head coach Aaron Glenn.
Steve Wilks from his duties this morning as our defensive coordinator. Chris Harris will actually be assuming those duties right now, and I will be helping him as he progresses through the week as our coordinator, and everybody else will stay the same. This decision that I made late last night, and I talked to him this morning, and I felt like it was the best decision for the organization at this time. And I've said this all along, that I'm evaluating players, I'm evaluating coaches, I'm evaluating myself, and I just felt like this was the best decision for right now for the team and for this organization. I relieved Steve Wilks from his duties.
Listen, man, I think this is the right move. No-brainer. Now, I know a lot of Jets fans are probably celebrating right now. I first want to say, it's hard to celebrate when you have, a man of Steve Wilks lose his job, right? That's never a positive. It's not a positive thing for him to lose his job, of course. And also, it's not really a positive thing from the lens that, Aaron Glenn hired him. So you would hope that, Aaron Glenn found a defensive coordinator when he initially became the Jets head coach that he believed in, that would be the guy for the future. So from that perspective, I get it. But I think it is a positive move from the Jets, because the last thing we wanted is the Jets to go into the offseason and we have Aaron Glenn saying, yeah, bro, he's our guy. We believe in him. Like, that would have been really, really annoying. So accountability is very important, and I'm excited that this happened because now I think Jets fans have a good idea of what the future is going to look like from this defense. Now, we're going to have a lot of different coordinators that we can talk about. I've heard Jim Leonhard's name be brought up. Hey, if Todd Bowles gets fired from the Bucs, sign me up for that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of interesting hires that we're going to be talking about, and I think this is pretty interesting stuff, man. This is pretty interesting stuff. So you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments section right now of this breaking news, because it is official that Steve Wilks is relieved of his duties, and we got a lot to break down right here on the channel. So make sure you guys hit the like button if you did not already on your way into the show, as we have breaking New York Jets news. Let's do it. Now, a lot of people are saying it's too late. Should have happened a while ago. Hey, man, it is what it is. It happened before the season ends. So that's really what you got to say about that, man. So let's hear more from Aaron Glenn and what made him want to make this decision.
I want to see consistent improvement. I want to see structure that's consistent. I want to see play that's consistent. And I want to see the character of the culture of this football team come together. And that's just the defense I know you asked me about, but I'm just talking about in general. I want to see the culture of this football team in these last 3 games. I want to see.
Yeah, so listen, I understand that this is just an interesting spot. You don't want this to be the case here. I think this is going to be also the only firing, the only coaching change from the coordinator perspective. I don't see the Jets moving on from Vic Fangio, of course, who's an absolute star of the Jets coaching staff. I don't see the Jets relieving Tanner Engstrand of play calling duties as well. I know some people really don't believe in Tanner Engstrand. I understand why, but I don't see him going anywhere. So I think Steve Wilks is the guy that was going to be getting the stick, if you will, right? So you never know. Chris Harris is going to be the defensive coordinator for now, and the Jets are going to find a new guy in the offseason. We got, 3 weeks and a lot of different things to talk about when it comes to who the Jets are going to replace Steve Wilks with. But again, it's just, unfortunate stuff. You don't want this to be the case. But hey, when you look at Dan Campbell and his staff, he did not have Ben Johnson in his first season. So maybe the Jets can go out there and find their guy. And now that they laid down the foundation, and this entire offseason is going to be about bringing in a whole new influx of talent, man. There's going to be so many new players coming on the defense, and there's going to be a new system. And, there's a thing about the Jets and just the NFL in general. A weapon that a lot of defenses have that you like is continuity. And, there's always that question. Do you want to keep the guy and believe in the coach, give him a second opportunity to build his team and have the guys understand the system for a second year? But no, that's not the case, bro. There was literally not one positive I could think of, bro. The Jets don't have a freaking interception, folks. They don't have an interception. That's insane. I mean, someone has to be held accountable for that, bro. Not one interception is asinine. We got a super chat from In the Trenches. Dolphins fan, does Glenn not call defense? If not, he needs to next season. First-time head coaches usually don't let go what got them there until they establish culture in the staff and team. Well, thank you so much for the $10 super chat, my friend. I really, really do appreciate that, my friend. Listen, when it comes to, I disagree. I don't think Aaron Glenn needs to call the defense. He's the head coach of this football team. I mean, how many defensive-minded head coaches out there call the defense? Like, does Todd Bowles still call the defense for the Bucs, or does he have a defensive coordinator do it for him? I'm asking. I don't want Aaron Glenn to call the defense. I'd rather him hire a defensive coordinator that he can trust to call the plays for next year, and he can be the head coach where he just worries about the clock, worrying about the game, worrying about being the CEO. I don't think that he needs to be the head coach that calls defensive plays. It's more traditional for the offensive-minded head coach to call the offensive plays than it is for a defensive-minded head coach to call the defensive plays. Robert Saleh, for example, obviously a failed head coach for the Jets. He never called the plays, but it's just usually how it goes. But I appreciate the super chat, my friend. I really, really do appreciate that. Now we got to go into some defensive coordinators. Defensive coordinators that the Jets are going to do. Let's see it. Brian Flores always called defense, and Bowles does. Yeah, I mean, listen, some defensive coordinators that become head coaches, they do that for sure. But Aaron Glenn, he's made it very known that he's not your... Aaron Glenn is making sure that he is not a defensive-minded head coach. He is a head coach, and he's been saying that. He wants to be a coach of the offense just as much as the defense, just as much as special teams. So I think that the best-case scenario is Aaron Glenn to find a guy that he trusts to run the defense. And he's doing that right now. He's doing that right now. Hey, Richie, Wilks had to go. Absolutely, Wilks had to go. Sayonara, Steve Wilks. Goodbye. Thank you for the chat right there. Remember, for 32 months, my man. Guys, hit that thumbs up button if you did not already. Subscribe to the channel. Now, a thing to notice, Aaron Glenn missed on the defensive coordinator hire. He absolutely hit a grand slam on the special teams coordinator hire, which is Chris Banjo, a former player. And then Tanner Engstrand is still like limbo. I'm not going to look at Tanner Engstrand as a bust or a hit yet. Like, I'm really neutral on Tanner Engstrand as an offensive coordinator. He's inexperienced. This is his first year on the job. Tanner hasn't really given me a lot of reasons to be optimistic, but he also hasn't given me reasons to be, like, worried, if that makes any sense, right? So I think that at the end of the day, the Jets are going to have to bring in the right guy on the defense to run this team. Should have happened earlier in the season. Yeah, man. I understand. You wanted to give him his opportunities to figure out a way to dig deep in this defense and win some games and improve, but at the end of the day, wasn't the case. So if you guys are just coming on in to the show, we have some breaking Jets news. Steve Wilks officially fired. Let's go. So if you're just tuning into the show, man, Here is the breaking news for the New York Jets. Now, I want to show you guys what Aaron Glenn had to say again. I would love to show you what Aaron Glenn had to say again, in case you missed it. Because he's the one that even broke the news himself, by the way, which is interesting. He's like, before you reporters get this, I want to break it myself. So here is Aaron Glenn again.
I relieved Steve Wilks from his duties this morning as our defensive coordinator. Chris Harris will actually be some of those duties right now, and I will be helping him as he progresses through the week as our coordinator, and everybody else will stay the same. This decision that I made late last night, and I talked to him this morning, and I felt like it was the best decision for the organization at this time. And I've said this all along, that I'm evaluating players, I'm evaluating coaches, I'm evaluating myself, and I just felt like this was the best decision for right now for the team and for this organization. I relieve Steve Wilks.
Steve Wilks, gone. Guys, let me know the coordinators you want the Jets to bring in. And here is the culture that he wants to provide now on defense for the last 3 games.
I just thought that, from last week going to this week, that the improvement wasn't there. And I thought it was time to make a change, And again, I'm going to make the decision that that's best for this organization at all times. And it's my job to make sure I continue to evaluate everything that's going on. And I told you guys that. And, that's my job as the head coach. And I just thought this was the time for me to make that decision. And I just thought that.
So some people are complaining that the timing that should have happened a while ago, but it happened now. It happened now.
I want to see consistent improvement. I want to see structure that's consistent. I want to see play that's consistent, and I want to see the character of the culture of this football team come together. And that's just the defense I know you asked me about, but I'm just talking about in general. I want to see the culture of this football team in these last 3 games. I want to see consistent.
He wants to see consistent culture, all that fun stuff. Some people saying that they want to fire Aaron Glenn next. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere, man. And if you are not believing in Aaron Glenn now, I don't want to hear you believing in him when he figures out how to win football games. No, I get it. Aaron Glenn obviously deserves to be held accountable for his faults this season. He has obviously not really proved much yet. But I think that, this is very big news for the Jets, because I think there was a fear in a lot of people's minds, and this tells us a lot about Aaron Glenn as well, that he's not afraid to be wrong, because this is also a knock on Aaron Glenn. This is a knock on him. Aaron Glenn is the one who hired Steve Wilks. He's the one who hired him. So Aaron Glenn had to put his ego aside and admit his mistake and admit that the guy he hired is not doing a good job at all and fire the guy. So I like that. I absolutely like that. It tells me a lot about Aaron Glenn. He's not afraid to admit defeat. He's not afraid to put his ego aside and admit that he was wrong. So that's good. Rex Ryan, Jim Leonhard, or Saleh. Saleh not coming close to this team. If you think Robert Saleh is going to come to the Jets to be the defensive coordinator under Aaron Glenn, you're sadly mistaken. Now, I would love that, but that's not happening. Rex Ryan, I don't know if that would even be happening either. I like the idea of Jim Leonhard for sure. Todd Bowles is more realistic if he gets fired from the Bucs. That's someone I would like to bring back. Remember, Vince Joseph from the Broncos, he was their head coach. He was fired, and then he got brought back as their defensive coordinator. So it's happened before. But I don't see it being Saleh, right? I don't see that happening. Let's go. Aaron Glenn is going to get his opportunity to build this team, bro. And, sometimes you whiff. Because the job of a head coach, by the way, is to hire a tremendous staff. And that falls directly on the head coach of the football team, right? So this is not something that we can just let Aaron Glenn off the hook for. It's his job to build a good quality coaching staff. And he failed in year number 1. He has failed, folks. So that's the way you got to look at it as well. He failed. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Are you happy right now? Are you not happy of the breaking news of the Jets firing defensive coordinator Steve Wilks? Please sound off in the comments and let me know how you're feeling right now. There's going to be such a huge overhaul of personnel, by the way, of this defense in the offseason. We keep talking about the offense and the quarterback and all that. It's going to be on defense too, bro. Come on. Let's do it. Let's do it. AG over his head, unfortunately. If he was over his head, he wouldn't have fired Wilks. You know, that's how I look at it. If Aaron Glenn was in over his head, he would be so blinded by his belief in the guy he hired, he would have not have made this decision. So I disagree that he's over his head. You know, usually that means you are not able to put your ego aside and admit your mistakes, but he was able to do that. Okay? Obviously not amazing stuff. You prefer the guy that he hired to be the guy for the future, of course, but that's not the case. Not the case. And I think there were some people that were worried that this was going to be one of those things that he doesn't do. Some people had that worry. This tells me a lot about Aaron Glenn, for sure. So let me know your thoughts. I'm going to make a poll in the chat if you're happy about this news. Are you? Now, again, it's hard to celebrate when the man lost his job, but I did see a crazy stat yesterday that Steve Wilks has been a one-and-done coach 5 of his last jobs. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. You know? So when they initially hired him, you're like, all right, well, he has experience, but he does not really have a good track record. You know, and now here's another question. The guy the Jets bring in after Steve Wilks, do you go after somebody with experience or try to get a guy that is a potential big hit that does not have any experience? That's the big question now. That's the big question. So, folks, smash that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the show. We have some breaking New York Jets news that we're live right here on Jets Media for. I'm happy I delayed my live stream this morning. I usually go live a little bit earlier in the morning, but I wanted to wait for Aaron Glenn because I had a feeling this could happen, and I'm very happy it did. Do we want experience as the defensive coordinator or head coach? Go get Brian Flores. Brian Flores is not coming. He's looking for a head coaching job. So this is something else you got to look at. Defensive coordinators that have jobs, like Robert Saleh, like Brian Flores, those guys are looking for head coaching gigs. They're not going to leave just for another defensive coordinator job. So you can't look at defensive coordinators that are employed right now, unless they get fired from their jobs. You got to look for former guys that are unemployed or, you know, position coaches or college coaches. Brian Flores is not coming to be a defensive coordinator. That guy wants a head coach job. Robert Saleh is not coming to be a defensive coordinator. He wants a head coaching job. If Todd Bowles, for example, if he gets fired, I can see him coming to be a defensive coordinator. But I don't even know if Todd would want that. Todd's a interesting character. You know, Jim Leonhard is the hottest name. If there was a guy that is a fan favorite, it's Jim Leonhard. That's the guy that a lot of people want, right? That's the guy a lot of people want. So I think that we'll see. He is the assistant head coach and defensive pass game coordinator right now for Wisconsin. I don't know. I believe, right? So, no, I'm sorry, for Denver. Was with Wisconsin. So, interesting stuff, man. I think that's the most realistic guy. Has a connection with Darren Muji as well. Former Jet. Back in the 2009, 2011 era. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that's the guy, man. Denver Broncos have a fantastic defense. Was with them back-to-back years. If I had to bet, bro, Jim Leonhard is going to be the defensive coordinator. That's who it's going to be. If I had to bet. Bring him on, baby. Bring him in. Let's see if I can find a picture of him real quick. As a Jet. I think that's who everybody wants. Is that who everybody wants? Seems like it. I'm trying to find a picture. Not a lot of high quality photos of our boy Jim Leonhard as a Jet on the internet. There we go. Bring him home. I'm ready. I think this is the guy that the Jets are going to target. 100%. 100%. Former Jet. Connections with the Broncos, which means connection with Darren Muji. The Broncos have a heck of a defense. Let me ask you this. So people are saying Rex Ryan. I don't know. Would you rather go the old route, an established guy that's stubborn? Or the next big candidate that's young and just needs an opportunity? You know? I like that idea, man. I like the idea of former players. So this is the guy I'm targeting if I'm the Jets. He's number one on my list. When the Jets first made this move, we'll see. He was a dog for the Jets, bro. I loved Leonhard as a safety for us. So we'll see. I'm going to make a tweet about Mr. Leonhard because I think a lot of Jets fans are high on him being the guy. Let's see. Let's make this post. You can comment on it on X. Would you want the Jets to hire Jim freaking Leonhard, baby? I'm in it. I'm in on it. All right, I need you guys to get a little more creative. Who else is out there? Who else is out there for the Jets? Who else is out there? I think the Rex Ryan stuff, first of all, Rex wants to be a head coach. You know? Am I the only one that doesn't really want Rex? I don't know. That's holding on to the past a little bit too much. Because we're going to make a video about all the defensive coordinators the Jets could bring in. Okay? All right. Let me know your favorite guys you want the Jets to target at defensive coordinator right now in the chat. Sexy Rexy. That's what the people want. That's what the people want. Seems like it. I mean, Jim Leonhard seems like the most obvious choice. Obvious choice. You feel me? We'll see, though. Another guy that we can target is Al Harris. Al Harris, the current defensive backs coach and defensive pass game coordinator of the Chicago Bears. That's having a breakout defensive performance over there. Former player. Does he have any connections with Aaron Glenn? I don't know. But that's another guy, Al Harris. I think the Jets are going to go young, man. Like Chris Banjo, young, former player. Tanner Engstrand, young, first time. I think the Jets are going to go that direction of a young guy that's looking for his opportunity. You feel me? That's who I think the Jets are going to target. Not an established guy. Jim Schwartz. See, that's an established guy. But he's the current defensive coordinator right now. So unless he just gets relieved of his duties, it's hard to target guys that are already coordinators. He's a defensive coordinator right now. Switch Glenn to DC. The most unrealistic take I've ever seen. That's not happening. Come on. Let's get a little realistic. But if you're just tuning into the show, guys, we have some breaking Jets news that came out from Aaron Glenn himself of Steve Wilks being officially fired. Officially fired, folks. Who's calling the defense now? It's Chris Harris will be calling the defense for the Jets now. Chris Harris calling the defense. Wink Martindale, another experienced guy, failed with the Giants. I don't know. They'll get an interception next week. You know it. You know we're getting our first interception this week. You know it. That's how it works. That's how it works, folks. That's how it works. Let's go, man. Chris Harris is the Jets' next defensive coordinator for now. It's not Chris Harris Jr., it's his father, by the way, I believe. The cornerback you're thinking of for the Broncos, that's his son. Yeah, so the Jets have their guy in Chris Harris, who is the defensive backs and pass game coordinator. He is becoming now the New York Jets defensive coordinator. So, we'll see. I want them to go younger for a DC. A new mind that relate to these players. Yeah, I mean, Jim Leonhard just makes so much sense. For sure. Makes so much sense. You hear me? Bart Scott. See, Bart Scott has zero coaching experience. Love Bart Scott, but the guy has zero coaching experience. So all of a sudden, we're just going to take Bart Scott off of his radio job and insert him as a defensive coordinator. Do you guys realize being a defensive coordinator, like, wouldn't you want at least somebody with coaching experience? I don't think people realize that just getting a former player doesn't guarantee, like, they need to at least have experience of being a coach as a positional coach or something before you just plug them in as a defensive coordinator. Someone says Revis would be dope. Come on, folks. Let's get a little bit more realistic here, folks. You can't just hire anybody off the street. You got to hire somebody that has been a coach in the league before. You trust a former player with zero coaching experience to be the coordinator? Come on, bro. What are we doing? Super chat from BC fan 772. Jets gonna look like the best defense in the league now. You know we're gonna get 3 interceptions on Sunday. That's how it works. You know it. I do like the timing of it because the timing is pretty good. Because now it gives the Jets a head start on the search. There's going to be a lot of guys that's going to be fired and let go, and I'm excited to see. Well, after that game, I'm surprised about this. Yeah, I don't think anyone's really surprised. The Jets' defense, historically bad recently. Historically bad. And I don't think the Jets even need, like, we don't need to break down the game yesterday. We don't. Adam Schefter likes to remind us about the streak. Through Week 15, the Jets have not intercepted any passes. Thanks for reminding us, Adam Schefter. Thank you very much, ESPN Insider. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You know? Thanks. I think that the Jets are going to have a big opportunity here. The coaches matter, man. Players matter. Personnel. Communication. I don't think that Steve Wilks related to these guys particularly well. I don't think he did. And, you know, Aaron Glenn, he said he made this decision late last night. Informed Steve Wilks this morning that he's done. Not an easy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do, but it had to be done. And I amend Aaron Glenn for this, man. I do. I do, man. So, at the end of the day, big stuff, big news here for the New York Jets when it comes to this. Seems like there's a lot of interesting names, man. Chris Harris is in charge of our 0-picked defensive backs. Nice to know you get promoted off of the record. Yeah. Well, he is the next man up on the defensive staff. So, I hear you. He's not going to get promoted and become the guy moving forward, that's for sure. Vic Fangio has a job, my friend. Folks, again, you cannot look for guys that are currently defensive coordinators. You got to look at the guys underneath the defensive coordinators. You got to look at the pass game coordinators, the defensive back coordinators. That's why Jim Leonhard's name makes the most sense. He's not the defensive coordinator anywhere. He's looking for his first opportunity. He has coaching experience in college. Like, that is the type of coach. Like, you look at the coaching career of Jim Leonhard. He retires from the NFL in 2014. He becomes a defensive backs coach of Wisconsin in 2016. And then he becomes a defensive coordinator for 5 years at Wisconsin. 5 years. And then he becomes the interim head coach of Wisconsin in 2022. And then he goes to Illinois for a senior football analyst. And then he goes to the NFL, his first time getting a job in the NFL as a coach. Defensive backs coach and pass game coordinator for the Broncos in 2024. And then he gets a promotion entering this season. Assistant head coach and defensive pass game coordinator. Jim Leonhard. That is a resume that I want. I don't want Bart Scott. Show me Bart Scott's resume for being a coach in the league. Come on. That's a resume, folks. That is what you call a resume. And here it is. This is what you want to see from a coach. This is Jim Leonhard rising up, starting off in college, making his way up to the NFL, And we all understand how elite the Broncos defense is. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me, bro. Bring me Jim Leonhard. Love them as a Jet. And I think that he would be an absolute home run hire. Because I'd rather get a young guy that has upside, that has experience of being a coordinator at the college level. He's learning underneath a really good coaching staff in Denver right now. Let's go. I'm down. Al Harris is another guy, of course, who's working up the totem pole. Let's do it. If you're just tuning into the show for the first time, hit the like button. We got breaking Jets news. How soon can we hire a DC? The Jets are going to hire their DC in the offseason. They're not going to hire anybody during the season. There's 3 games left. We're going to go into the offseason. We're going to do the interviews, and the Jets will probably hire a guy late January, if I had to guess, around the Senior Bowl. So, see, I mean, is this what people are just stuck on the last time the Jets were good? Let's hire Rex and then hire Bart Scott and Revis. Guys, just because you're an elite player does not mean you're guaranteed to be an elite coach. Some players are not built to be coaches. Okay? Let's get realistic here. Like, when you look around who's potentially available, I think that Jim Leonhard is the guy that makes the most sense. I mean, there's going to be a lot of players, a lot of coaches out there that's going to get their opportunity to get an interview, I'm sure. Right? You got Christian Parker as another name to watch from the Eagles. His resume is interesting. You got Christian Parker working his way all the way up. He's currently the pass game coordinator, defensive backs coach for the Eagles. He was with the Denver Broncos for 2 years, with the Packers as the defensive quality control coach. That's another name to watch. I like that, Christian Parker. I like the guys that are rising up. Come on. Glenn is of the Sean Payton tree, so Jim Leonhard makes a lot of sense. I agree. I mean, Aaron Glenn, Sean Payton tree, Bill Parcells, it's all connected, man. That's why Jim Leonhard makes so much sense. Jim Leonhard is right now under Sean Payton. Like, that's it, bro. Come on. It's a wrap. If there was a place you could place a bet on of who the Jets' next defensive coordinator is, I'm putting my money on that. I'm putting my money on Jim Leonhard. Just based off of all the connections. What would the Jets have to trade to get the first overall? We made a video last week about a trade that the Jets would make with the Giants to trade up. If you want to check that out, it's on the channel. This is going to be a great move for this organization. Muji and Glenn have been making great strides. Yeah, I think they have been making great strides. I think Jets fans just want to see production on the field and see wins and all that. But unfortunately, we have to wait till next year in order to see that come together. This is going to be a very eventful offseason. You know, last year's offseason was eventful because you're bringing in a new coach. It's their first time bringing in their new guys. But now that they had 1 year underneath their belt, this is the offseason where this regime of Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, we're really going to see their fingerprints all over the team now. You know, the first offseason is like, okay, but the second offseason, that's where we can start seeing the vision come together. That's when we can start seeing their type of guys be brought in a little bit more, because then you have a second wave of players coming on in free agency, trades. And the one thing you know about Darren Muji, bro, this guy is very, very active on the trade market. He's going to be active, man. He's going to keep being active. Let's go. Now can I do Mets media during next season? I don't know if I can handle that. The OGs know the Mets media days. It's hard. I got Jets media, Knicks media active. Sometimes I just like to enjoy the Mets as a fan instead of a content creator. It's a lot, but hey, maybe. If you guys really want it, you never know. You know, it's like there's a balance of being a fan and a content creator and covering the team. It's like, it's a lot. You know what I mean? We have so many expiring contracts. They get to bring in the guys they want. Definitely is going to be a busy offseason. Yeah, there's a lot of expiring contracts. Quincy Williams expiring contract. John Simpson expiring contract. Elijah Vera Tucker. Breece Hall. Michael Clemens. A lot of other guys. So there's going to be a lot of players on their way out. A lot of new guys coming in. You can also say the Jets are going to be cutting a lot of guys. Trading away a bunch of guys. There's going to be so many new players coming in, man. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. So, that's the one thing that's exciting. So many things are coming out. We talked about the draft. Big things happened in the NFL draft yesterday that has a direct correlation with the Jets. With the Saints winning and the Jets losing, that officially, let me get this ad off the screen, that brings the Jets to the 5th overall pick. And the Saints now, who the Jets face off against this week, have dropped to 7. So, interesting to see where the current draft status is right now for the New York Jets. All right, can I skip these ads? Thank you. The Jets currently have the 18th overall pick and the 5th overall pick. And I don't know about you guys. I don't see the Jets winning another game for the rest of the season. I don't see the Jets winning again. I just don't. I don't see the Jets winning again. With Brady Cook at quarterback, it doesn't really make any sense. I don't see that. I mean, the Saints, they've won 2 in a row, so they're on the positive side of things recently. So I think, and then you have the Giants and Raiders. They're facing off against each other in 2 games, so that's going to have a direct impact. The Jets have a 538 strength of schedule, which is technically, so if they had the same record as the Raiders and Titans, they'd have the 2nd overall pick. Giants have them beat in that category. So, we'll see. We'll see. You'll still be rooting for us to beat the Saints, though. Yeah, I will be, because me rooting for the Jets doesn't change how they play. Doesn't change them winning or losing. I'm sorry, it's not my blood to actively root against my football team. It's that simple. I'm not going to be, like, losing my mind over the game. I'm not going to be super upset if we lose. But I'm going to go out there, root for my guys. Root for Aaron Glenn. Root for the Jets. I mean, it's not rocket science, folks. I mean, I don't know why I have to keep explaining myself to you guys. Come on. Newsflash, you rooting against the Jets does not mean they're going to lose the game. Newsflash, you rooting for them to win does not mean they're going to win. It's that simple. I don't know why people get so upset over fans the way they root. I don't care. Root however you want. I don't care. You know, we had somebody in the chat yesterday. It was probably my favorite comment I've ever had about the tank thing. My favorite comment yet to date. We had somebody in the chat literally say, "You fans that root for wins are the reason why the Jets stink." was my favorite. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I take accountability. Jets media, and whoever else roots for these wins, we're the reason why the Jets suck. We're the reasons why the Jets have not made the playoffs in 15 years. Blame the fans, because the fans that root for wins directly impacts the Jets' incompetence. Oh, boy. It's just hilarious. And that made me laugh. And I needed a good laugh yesterday after the Jets getting mollywopped. You needed it. You needed it. And for the people that love to play revisionist history, newsflash again, you can't go back in time and change things. So stop harping on the past. The best way to live your life is to be in the present. Not in just football, not just as a fan, but in life. If you're stuck in the present moment and you really cherish that, you're not living in worry, you're not living in fear. But for the fans that keep going back, oh, but the meaningless win against the Browns, wow, the meaningless win against the Falcons. Why harp over it, bro? These players and these coaching staff do not go out there and try to lose. They go out there and play football. These players are fighting for their jobs. The coaches are coaching for their jobs. So stop whining and going back into time and saying, well, if we just lost this game, they didn't lose the game. They won the game. So stop harping on it. You're going to drive yourself insane. I don't know. Some people like to live in suffering. I choose not to. I'm someone that meditates daily. I'm someone that practices mindfulness, and I like being in the present moment, not worrying about those things because it's out of my control. Why worry about the things that are out of your control? That's how I look at it. Why am I going to stress over where the Jets are drafting when it's out of my control? I'm just going to surrender to what happens, and when the season is done, then we look at the draft and say, all right, let's go. Where are we drafting? Who are we picking? Who are we trading up for? That's how I look. That's how I look at it. Not saying my way is right, your way is wrong. Just speaking how I operate. That's all I'm doing. So if you guys are tuning in for the show for the first time, we have some breaking news. The New York Jets have officially fired Steve Wilks. He's gone. Goodbye. Later. Later. What do you know? Steve Wilks is gone. Let's go. Come on, man. There's so many different coordinators the Jets can be targeting. And we're going to be talking about it for the next few weeks. Let's go. Do you think Jim Leonhard would want to come here? Isn't he assistant head coach in Denver? Yeah, but he's the defensive pass game coordinator. A defensive coordinator job is a higher job than the assistant head coach. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. So yes, if the Jets offered him a defensive coordinator job, he's not calling the defense over there. He's not calling plays. He gets a chance to be a play caller. Of course he'd take that job. Well said right here. We're rooting for wins and losses has zero impact on the result. Just watch the team. If they win, be happy for the players. If they lose, be happy for the draft pick. Thank you. This is it. I mean, this is as simplistic as it is. It's not rocket science, folks. It's this. I don't know why people get so upset at me. Like, what am I doing to you? Why do I offend you so much? This is all I do right here. I go into every game. Hey, let's go Jets. If they win, great. The players are happy. Good for them. Coaches are happy. Good for them. If they lose, all right, we got a better draft pick. Cool. It's that simple, man. That simple. I don't know why people get so bent. This is also true. We're in the misery timeline. Everyone just soaks in complete misery and can't get out of it. Oh, boy, this is true. I mean, I try my best to not live in that mindset, but this is the world we live in. And mental health is a real thing, for sure. So, and I will say this, man. I'll be completely honest and transparent with you guys. Growing up, when I was young, I still am young, I guess, technically, 27 years old. But when I was like a teenager, the Jets would actually affect my health. Like, I don't know if anybody else can relate, but I didn't really have a lot of emotional intelligence back then as you're young and you're, a teenager. And like the Jets' misery would actually affect me to the point where like it's unhealthy. And I had to like check people around me were like, yo, you really care too much. I'm like, I don't know. And then, I matured. And then I built what I built here on Jets Media as my outlet. Because this is therapy for me just as much as it is for you guys to deal with these Jets. You feel me? And, people can criticize me for that for all they want. I'm just being honest, man. It got to a point where the Jets would actually affect my health because I cared so much about something that I can't control. And that's not healthy. So we'll see. It is what it is, though. Yeah, the Raiders and Giants play, which is going to be very impactful. Let's do it. Let's do it. Folks, want to give you a big shout out to the proud sponsor of Jets Media all throughout the season. That just so happens to be Sleeper. You guys get a 100% match up to $100 by using the code JETS. $20 for free when you sign up today, folks. So go check them out using the code JETS. When you click the link, download the app for your boy. Would greatly appreciate that. Get a 100% deposit matched up to $100. Really cannot thank Sleeper enough for being the proud sponsor of the channel. So thank you to them for supporting the show. Huge shout out to our friends over at Sleeper. Let's go. How are we feeling? 90% of the chat is happy right now. 90%. That's a big thing. That's pretty cool. 90% of you guys are happy over this news that Aaron Glenn made the decision to fire his guy. Fire him. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Richie, you understand our pain. Yeah, I live it with you guys. I mean, I'm not separate from the pain. I am the pain. You feel me? I am the pain. With you all. So, we'll see. Well, I'm going to wrap up the show here now, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Jets Media. We have some breaking news that we broke down in detail today of Steve Wilks officially getting fired as a defensive coordinator. We're going to have some content coming out this week about who the potential hires could be. So we'll see. So thank you so much for all the support here on the channel. I love you guys as always. Salute to the chat. We have a lot of content coming throughout the offseason just because the Jet season is going to come to an end the next 3 weeks does not mean that we're stopping here with the content. We got a lot of things coming your way, whether it's mock drafts, mock off seasons, potential defensive coordinator hires, who the quarterback's going to be. I mean, there's so many hypothetical scenarios that we're going to be able to run down, which is exciting. It excites me. All right, so I appreciate you guys tuning in to this edition of the Jets Media Breaking News Show, brought to you by Sleeper. And yeah, that's going to wrap things up. So thank you guys as always. Stay tuned for content on the channel throughout the week and more lives as well. Let's go Jets. I'm out of here, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.